In a world that grows more uncertain every day, the call to protect the innocent, especially our families, has never been more urgent. As Christians, we have a sacred duty not only to love and pray for others, but also to take practical steps to defend life and justice. This includes being prepared to stand against those who seek to harm the vulnerable among us. That's why every Christian should seriously consider training in military tactics and weapons use. This is not about aggression or domination, but about stewardship, responsibility, and loving protection. The Bible teaches us that life is sacred, and that God values justice and protection of the weak. From the earliest pages of Scripture, we see God as a defender of the oppressed and an avenger of evil. In the Old Testament, God commands the Israelites to defend their families and land against enemies. In the New Testament, Jesus affirms the value of human life and calls us to love our neighbors as ourselves. But love does not mean passivity in the face of evil. It means action. Proverbs 24 verses 11 to 12 urges us to rescue those being led away to death. How can we do that if we are unprepared to intervene? The Apostle Paul reminds us in Ephesians 6 verse 11 to put on the whole armor of God, spiritual armor. But this also can inspire us to put on practical armor, training, skills, readiness. We no longer live in a time or place where everyone is safe by default. Crime, violence, and threats to innocent lives exist in every nation and community. Even in peaceful neighborhoods, tragedies happen suddenly. Home invasions, assaults, kidnappings, or worse. Our families, our children, our churches, they can be targets. Waiting for law enforcement to arrive might not be enough. Police response times can vary, and in critical moments, seconds count. Those seconds might determine the difference between life and death. The responsibility to protect often falls on those who are present, on us. Some Christians hesitate to embrace weapons training or military tactics because they fear conflicts with Christ's message of peace. But being prepared to defend is not incompatible with peace. It is part of loving your neighbor. Jesus himself said in Luke 22 verse 36, "If you don't have a sword, sell your cloak and buy one." While this statement has been debated, it shows an acknowledgement of preparedness. Being ready to protect is a form of stewardship of the lives God has entrusted to us. We are called to be wise and prudent, not naive or helpless. The parable of the wise builder, Matthew 7 verses 24 to 27, reminds us to build on a strong foundation, and part of that foundation is practical readiness. Military tactics and weapons training are not about recklessness or violence. They are about discipline, respect, and responsibility. Such training teaches restraint, judgment, and how to handle dangerous situations calmly and effectively. When Christians train properly, they grow in self-control, mental strength, and the ability to make split-second decisions under pressure. These skills benefit not just the individual, but the entire community, creating a safer environment for everyone. The most vulnerable among us are our families, spouses, children, elderly parents. We are called to love them sacrificially and to protect them from harm. To do this, training is essential. Imagine a scenario where an attacker threatens your home or loved ones. Without training, panic and fear can overwhelm you. With training, you have the tools to act decisively, to create a barrier between evil and your family, to call for help, and if necessary, to defend life beyond our homes. Christians should also consider how their skills can serve their communities and churches. Training in tactics allows us to organize safety teams, assist in crisis situations, and be a light of protection in dark times. Proper training in defense is not just about physical protection. It also opens doors for ministry and evangelism. When we protect others, we demonstrate God's love in action. We show that faith is not passive or weak, but strong, courageous, and willing to stand for what is right. Moreover, trained Christians can help save lives, prevent crimes, and intervene in emergencies, offering mercy and hope. This practical service builds trust and respect, allowing us to share the gospel with credibility and compassion. Many Christians fear that training in weapons or military tactics will make them violent or arrogant. The truth is the opposite. Training fosters humility because it teaches how serious and grave the use of force really is. Responsible Christians understand that force is a last resort, to be used only when necessary to protect life. Training also combats fear. Fear can paralyze us and prevent us from acting when needed. Proper preparation replaces fear with confidence, allowing us to be calm and effective. History and Scripture are full of examples of God's people who trained and fought to protect the innocent. David, before becoming king, was a warrior who defended his people. Nehemiah organized the rebuilding of Jerusalem's walls with armed guards. Even the early church recognized the need for order and protection in times of persecution. Modern Christian soldiers and law enforcement officers show how faith and duty combine in real life. They are often motivated by their belief in protecting the innocent and standing for justice. If you feel called to take this responsibility seriously, start with education. Learn about the biblical foundations for protection. Seek out qualified instructors in firearms safety, self-defense, and military tactics. Join responsible Christian training groups or classes. Training is not a one-time event. It requires ongoing practice, study, and commitment. Develop mental, physical, and spiritual preparedness together. In conclusion, training in military tactics and weapons use is a vital part of living out the Christian call to love and protect. It is not about seeking conflict, but being ready for it when necessary. It is about stewardship of our families, our neighbors, and the innocent. As Christians, we must reject passivity and embrace courage. We must combine prayer with practical preparation. We must build skills and character so that if evil comes, we can stand firm. Remember the words of Nehemiah when the enemies threatened the rebuilding of Jerusalem. The people stood firm and kept their ranks. Nehemiah 4 verse 13. So, too, must we stand firm today, ready to protect the innocent, shield the vulnerable, and be faithful stewards of God's gift of life.